Good morning and welcome to today's Moments with Clara. Today we're going to talk about why it's important to wait at least a full year before making any major decisions following a big loss, such as the loss of a child, which in my opinion is the biggest loss, the most significant, the most difficult loss anyone will ever experience. The loss of a job, the loss of a other family member, the loss of a relationship, and on it goes. Losses are never, ever a singular loss. Most losses have layers of grief. And by that I mean such as when a child dies, we don't just experience the grief of losing a child, we also experience the grief of losing friends, of losing the support of family members often, sometimes job loss is included in that. Many times we suffer depression, which is a loss of our mental health, and on we go. It is so vitally important not to make major decisions during that first year following a loss, a big loss, because we're simply not thinking straight. We're thinking from the vantage point of grief and trauma. And when we are thinking from those points, we're simply not thinking clearly. We need at least a full year to digest what the loss means to us, to really get familiar with what the reality of that loss is, if that makes sense. I know for a long time following the loss of my son, everything didn't register. The depth of his loss didn't register with me because my heart and mind couldn't comprehend everything all at once. It took a minimum of at least a year to understand that my son simply was not coming back. Any major decisions made during that period of grieving would have probably not been the best decision for me. And I've talked to actually hundreds and hundreds of parents who have gone through losses such as the loss of a child, or the loss of parents, or the loss of, combination of parents, child, job, and they will all say the same thing. I just wasn't thinking straight. I didn't know what I was thinking during that first year. It wasn't me. My mind wasn't clear enough. I couldn't sort out things in the way that I normally would. When my sister Carmela died, she was 13. My mother had a terrible time grieving her loss, as we all did. My mother made some major decisions. One, she decided to get rid of all of Carmela's clothes and belongings all at once. Within 1 week following her death, she had gotten disposed of everything of Carmela. She said she couldn't stand being around us. She couldn't stand looking at it. And I get it. I mean, grief is that raw and that bad. Following that, she decided to sell our family home. She said that it just had too many memories of Carmela in it, and she couldn't live there anymore. Following that, that led to job loss and depression. And honestly, all of those decisions had a tumble-down effect and really affected her life and our lives, the lives of her two remaining children, in a really, really horrific way. She often said, I just wish I had waited to make those decisions. And so I leave you with this thought. If you're facing a major loss today and you are in the early months following that loss, I really urge you to take your time in making any major decisions, any major life changes, because your thinking will be different when the grief is less raw. Give yourself a minimum of a year, better to give yourself 2 years. When by then the reality of the loss has settled, you'll know more what you need for your own needs, for your family's needs, and you'll be able to make wiser, better decisions. I hope today's Moments with Clara helps you. I hope it's an encouragement to you. And until next time, this is Clara signing off with love for today's Moments with Clara.